Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kinder, the Tiger Knights, and I, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today, we are doing chapter 67 of The Captain's Heart. We have arrived at the coordinates. Hargarin Felrorter, the Skimar said, the pilot looking over her screens, momentum is now null. Nothing out of the ordinary on sensor. Lelgrim Derisik Sel Centarikim said, waiting on order for active scan. Gralgiran looked toward Murosotori Dilakatirina Tiren, and the comm officer shook her head. Of course, his prey wouldn't be. You know what? That's going to be a different paragraph. Of course, his prey wouldn't be stupid enough to broadcast comm on the open bands, but completely hiding communication was impossible if the ship's okay, but I'm going to remove this. But completely hiding was impossible if the ship's communication array was advanced enough. And, as with all hunter ships, the Bane had the best the leadership gave them access to. Even the animosity of the current leaders toward him hadn't kept him from retrofitting the array the last time he'd been at Kelser, and while they'd again attempted to take the ship from him. His ship also had a good decryption program, as good decryption program as his experts could write. Of course, his prey might be light years away. The sector was vast, and passive scans were limited to the speed of light, and active scans to not much more than that, and both came with their own set of complications. If active scan detected his prey, anyone at their sensor would know. If they shut down most of the system, the Bane would have to be on them to be on them. To detect the energy traces. Still, other than knowing the sector was where he should search, he had other information to guide the hunt. He brought up the projection of the sector, then overlaid the courses of the three missing ships. The wings had the closest to their position, and most likely place to start was where the three courses, damn it, closest twice. Almost intersected. He sent the course information and their destination. Get on Thunderil's wing course with that destination. Lelgrim Derisik scan remained passive and set them to pick up anything a battle would leave behind. This hunt will carry over many shifts and days. Hunters, remain alert when you are active, rest and live when you are not. When you are not. There is no telling when the gods will call on us to go on the front line. We die so others live, they responded. Not this hunt, he replied, the usual reminder not to throw their lives away needlessly. Oh, I so don't know if I'm ready for this, Gral, Jeremy said as they approached the reservoir's archway. We can return to our apartment, Jer. No, you have no idea how long it's been since I've been swimming. The pool on Einstein was in so much demand, I was lucky if I could get in and get an hour and a half. If I could get a half-hour slot once a month. It's just that he'd explain what going swimming would entail. The fact that Kelsirians would be nude. He'd also reassured him there would be no sex there. The reservoir wasn't designated as a leisure area. He'd brought up the idea both because after 3 days without result, he needed to go out and do something that wouldn't also come with the risk of being offered sex, and in an attempt to expose Jeremy to more Kelsirian culture. He would respect him and Earth customs, but he hoped that in getting comfortable with how Kelsirians were, he'd grow to understand that love wasn't dependent on sex. Jeremy had been more receptive to the idea of swimming than expected, but the nudity had put him off. He made it clear he wouldn't do it and had okay, yeah, this needs to alter because as my co-scriptor pointed out, there's no reason he'd have a print of swimming trunks. He made it clear he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Um, wouldn't do that. And had cut a pair of pants just above the knee and called them swimming trunks. And called them the swimming trunks he was already wearing. Then had been the surprise over the swimming taking place at the reservoir. They entered the undressing room, and Jeremy was already blushing, trying to look away from everyone there. Gralgiran scanned his bracelet over a locker, then urged his heart to do the same with his. Jer, we can come back. I'm okay. He took off his jacket, then his shirt, and Gralgiran undressed, storing everything except his bracelet and collar. As much as he wanted this to be pure relaxation with his heart, there was a hunt happening and he needed to remain accessible at all time. Don't know how you do it, Jeremy whispered, furtively glancing at the others. Only males, he noted. I've seen plenty of naked males. I expect they don't hold the same exotic appeal to me as you. I'm not. He looked at Gralgiran. You know I wouldn't. He took a slow breath. This is harder than I thought. You can look, he said. No one will mind. No one will think you are inviting them. We don't have the same relationship to clothing and lack thereof as Earthers do. Jeremy squared his shoulder and headed for the other side of the undressing room. Except you don't allow nakedness everywhere. That implies it's not as natural as you're saying. Gralgiran chuckled. It is natural. But then, so are males and females using the opportunity to put themselves on display. And that is distracting, even if you're not the intended recipient. What does putting themselves on display mean? The door slid open and Jeremy gasped, raising his hand to shield his eyes. Fuck, I didn't think it would be this hot or bright. Gralgiran's eyesight adjusted after a few seconds of glare blindness. I told you it would be warmer than the rest of the ship. We enjoy sunning ourselves. You didn't mention that last part. Not that I would have expected this anyway. I'm going to have to print sunglasses for the next time. Your eyesight isn't adjusting? Jeremy chuckled. You have a wider range of in what frequency you hear, as well as light adaptivity. That's more of a question. Wonder if there's something we humans are more adept at than you are. Gralgiran kept his response to himself, making Jeremy blush by pointing out just how much more sensitized his skin was wouldn't serve to make him at ease with the situation. He'd demonstrate once they were back at in their apartment. He looked around. Sand, too. He sunk his toe in it. This is like an actual beach. I was expecting something more like the pool on Einstein. Are you okay to go to the water, or is the light too much? I'll be fine. He walked. How do you keep the sand people drag into the water from clogging the system? The same way we keep the fur we shed from clogging it. Good filtration. As expected, they attracted look, and Gralgiran remained alert for anyone approaching with lewdness on their face or an erection. This wouldn't be a time when his heart had to deal with exotic seekers. Okay, that's excessive. He snapped his attention in the direction Jeremy looked, away from, thinking he'd missed someone approaching. Instead, the male was parading himself, his ash fur neatly groomed and shimmering in the light. On top of having the fur trimmed around his groin to draw the eye there, he'd added a ring of sparkling rocks in what looked like Arlington wood at the base of his cock and two on top of his balls. A show of wealth along of displaying his impressive endowment. You ask what someone putting themselves on display looked like? And that's allowed here? It's tolerated. There's always a few warning. There's always a few warning given when putting on display turns to demonstrating what they're capable of. But it's been a while since a report of someone arrested for inappropriate behavior has crossed my desk. That, Jeremy said without motioning to who he meant, would get someone arrested pretty much anywhere on Earth. Well, there are nudist beaches and colonies, but I have no idea how that works. You know what? And I doubt. And I doubt they'd be okay with something that blatant. They stopped at the edge of the water. Jeremy peered into the distance. Just how large is this? 500 meters in that direction, 100 across. How deep? 200 meters at the deepest, but only 20 can be swum in. And the waves, he motioned to the people bobbing on the surface of the low waves. They're set to vary from still water to about twice what's happening now at random intervals. Nothing bigger, nothing we can surf on? Gralgiran chuckled. Not on a ship, or at least this ship. Surf is a planet-side activity. I can take you when we visit Kelser. Another planet? Jeremy said in awe. I never thought I'd do that. Aren't there other colonies in Earth territories? A handful, but it's not like I'd ever get approval to go. Not even for a visit? It's not like I really looked into them, but as far as I know, they're working settlements, not touristic ones. He hesitated. Earthers don't seem to be strong on making sure they enjoy the life they live. Jimmy laughed. I'd like to think we are. But I'll grant you, we don't do it to Kelsirian levels. I think the drive to advance is genetic for us. So, how does this work? Do we just go in? Unless you feel you need my assistance, then yes, you... Jeremy ran into the water, then threw himself in, resurfacing further. Gralgiran ran. I don't need the into the water. Ran after his heart. Then they chased each other among the swimmers, starting a splashing war at some point. And that concludes chapter 67 of The Captain's Heart. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe, hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story, actually well ahead of what's being posted here. And if you wish to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. The links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.